And joining Tina and me this evening to debate whether our Netas are in denial, it's the Lucknow terror ops. That's the hashtag we are putting out tonight. Don't forget to tweet in with your tweets on whether our Netas are in denial mode. Joining us this evening is Dr. Sambit Patra, National Spokesperson of the BJP, R Venkatesh, Political Analyst, RSN Singh Defence Analyst, H Khan, leader of the BSP, joining us from Lucknow, Ghanshyam Tiwari, National Spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party, Devdas, author, also joining us from Delhi, and Irfan Hafeez Lone, lawyer and activist, joining us from Srinagar. Coming across to you first, Ghanshyam Tiwari. You know, it's the talks, it's the statements of leaders and somebody as responsible as the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh. These statements, tell us if these are statements that actually impinge on the national security of our country. On 3rd of March, what did Akhilesh Yadav say? He says our railway minister could not take care of the Kanpur attacks and gave a false report to the Prime Minister that the ISI had damaged the tracks. I want to say that the incident took place in Uttar Pradesh. At least I should have been informed about this, but there was no information, so there is no truth to it. To challenge the Prime Minister's link to ISI having a hand in those sabotage exercises across railway lines in various parts of the country, especially Kanpur. Do you think Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh was doing a disservice to the national security of this country when he questioned the Prime Minister on an issue of such grave national security importance?
I think Akhilesh Yadav, as Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, has only confirmed that the nation has lost its trust on the Prime Minister and the Home Minister to keep the nation secure. Who in the history of elections uses national tragedy to garner votes? The Prime Minister used the Kanpur tragedy to garner votes in Gonda. Amit Shah used a national tragedy attack on Mumbai to garner votes by naming Kasab and making it a household name.
You know, Ghanshyam Tiwari, this is not about votes. Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari, Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari,
I challenge you today
Mr.
to flash all the tweets that Rajnath Singh, the Home Minister of India, has made in the last 1 month. In last 1 month, all his tweets are about
Mr.
how he
Ghanshyam
is
Tiwari,
campaigning
let
in
me
Uttar
ask
Pradesh.
you a question.
The entire Union Cabinet is sitting in Varanasi when the nation
Let's
is under
not
threat.
outshout each other, Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari. I need to ask you a question.
To bring Akhilesh Yadav in center stage?
Well, I'm asking you
Let
a simple question.
Let us use a rational approach.
Simple question is the current operations, the terror operations are currently on in Thakurganj in Uttar Pradesh. It's your state. Your party is ruling the state of Uttar Pradesh at such a time to talk about something that concerns national security for Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister to actually contradict the Prime Minister on issues of national security. Are you taking a very narrow view? Only interested in votes? Are you, Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari, only interested in votes?
For the Home Minister to continuously
Ghanshyam Tiwari, let me add. Ghanshyam Tiwari firstly has pointed out to you, we are not talking about votes, we are talking about national security. One second, Ghanshyam Tiwari, please listen to the question. And while you pointed out Rajnath Singh's comments, yes, we are also going to ask Dr. Sambit Patra to respond to some of the comments that have been made by the Home Minister with respect to ISIS. I request you, Mr. Tiwari, just listen to us. Listen to us. Why we are asking you this question in addition to what Akhilesh has said, let me point out to you what a leader like Azam Khan has said about the... Ghanshyam Tiwari, please listen to the question. We are going to be putting these questions to every single party spokesperson here. 1 second, Ghanshyam Tiwari, denial or not, let's not forget what Azam Khan said in the aftermath of the Paris attacks. Just hear me out. Hear me out. Then we'll give you your time to speak. He rationalized the ISIS. I am quoting what Azam Khan said. We should first see... 1 second, Ghanshyam Tiwari, we should first see who killed the innocents first and who retaliated. If you're not going to listen to the question, I'm afraid you're not going to be able to answer it properly. So Ghanshyam Tiwari, let me once again tell you, this is the quote. We should see who killed innocents first and who retaliated. Whoever kills innocent people, whether it is America or Russia or any group is wrong, and history will decide who is a terrorist or not. 1 second, when Azam Khan said this in the aftermath of the Paris attacks, was he or was he not rationalizing the ISIS? Can you just answer that point? We will be asking the other political parties on the statements made by their leaders too.
In India who has members of ISIS on its roll is BJP, as founded in their IT cell. If you cannot report that today, then it is, I am sorry.
That's a preposterous allegation that you are making, Ghanshyam Tiwari. We'll get Dr. Sambit Patra to respond to you. Dr. Sambit Patra, there's an allegation coming from Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari, and he says ISIS members are members of the BJP.
Who is Dhruv Saxena?
Can I please come in? And I don't want to shout.
Yes,
Navika,
yes, Dr. Sambit Patra.
Yes, I don't want to shout, Navika. Yes.
Dr. Sambit,
Navika,
I don't want you to shout. I don't want you to shout, but respond to Ghanshyam Tiwari before I come back with another question to you.
Navika, I did not want to shout, nor do I want to trivialize the debate by skirting the debate on other issues, because of the very fact that these are hours of peril. When our men, be it policemen, they are fighting against terrorism, and we as politicians should be shouting over each other just to garner some votes. People of this country will not forgive us if we do that. We have to behave very maturely when an operation is on. First, as a politician of the National Party, which is the government in the center, I would behave as an elder brother, and I would not politicize this issue. I would not discuss about the operation that is still on, and I expect no politician on the panel today to discuss on the operation that is still on. Now coming to the larger canvas and the larger perspective. Well, yes, politicians in this country have very tactically, and I'm very sorry to state, just to garner some votes, we have gone to the abysmal low of speaking high of terrorism of many instances. One instance that Tina was right now questioning was that of the Paris attack, Charlie Hebdo. If you would remember, in 2015, after the Charlie Hebdo attack, when two very prominent politicians of this country, one Mr. Manishankar Iyer from the Congress party and one Mr. Ajam Khan from the Samajwadi party, were asked as to what was the Charlie Hebdo attack, they said it was a rightful attack. This is not an act of terrorism. This was in retaliation to what the West was doing to fight against terrorism. We have to remember one thing. We all have to come together to fight against terrorism. We have no space today to fight amongst each other. I'm extremely sorry, Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari.
Let's not that is why you use Azam Khan as an example and forget speaking about Dhruv Saxena. See, Sambit Patra, glib talk does not hide truth. The nation is watching the utter failure of national government in protecting the boundaries of this country.
You want to shout over me? I would wait for my turn.
Killing people.
But if you want an answer about the question that you asked, I'm ready to answer.
The Home Minister is repetitively tweeting about his fantastic election campaigns in Uttar Pradesh.
Sir, I have got the question. You have at least 10 times asked this question. Let me answer this question. Let me answer this question. Ghanshyam ji, thankfully, the message has been conveyed to you. Thanks to our intelligence, that the message has been conveyed to you, and in the right time the ATS is functioning. I'm thankful today to the government, the central government, that at least the intelligence being on time, we have not seen any bloodbath on the streets of Lucknow. I'm extremely thankful to the government of the center.
The nation expects better. The nation expects better. You cannot use soft victories to hide your utter failures.
Should I show you something? Sir, let's not shout. Let's fight on
show me how many soldiers have died this year.
Sambit Patra, just coming to you on the point that he had...
Tina and Navika, I'm going to show you something extremely important, and this will give space to the debate.
Please go ahead and do that.
Just 10 seconds.
All right, please go ahead and do that. But I just want to add that Ghanshyam Tiwari had also raised the point of Rajnath Singh, and the larger question we are asking Sambit tonight is that have we ignored the reality of the ISIS, and are we not giving enough importance to the possibility that ISIS footprint might be growing in India? And in this regard, yes, Rajnath Singh has also in the past repeatedly played down the threat of ISIS. Is it a time when that should be reconsidered now? Because the ISIS links, not just here in Lucknow, but over several instances in the last few months, have been established by our agencies.
Exactly. This question is a very pertinent question, Tina, and it needs all the seriousness to answer this. When the Home Minister of a country like India, Mr. Rajnath Singh, when he says that, well, I understand the threat of ISIS, but I have complete faith on Indian Muslims. I have complete faith on the Indian system, and I know that the Indian Muslims are going to stand by us and they're not going to be influenced by ISIS. I am in complete endorsement of what the Home Minister has said. And that is the way the Home Minister should be. That is the way. He should not press the panic button, but he should be prepared. And because he was prepared, because the government was prepared, that's the reason as to why the intelligence has flown to the right source where it should have gone.
But Dr. Sambit Patra, some would say, and let me take that question.
And now I want to expose something.
102 election meetings.
Let me take that question.
You would allow me to expose this important thing.
For Uttar Pradesh.
You would allow me to expose this important thing. Now let me please expose this important thing, which would in fact
why don't you show the headline retweet by the Home Minister today?
Sir,
is he speaking about intelligence failure of the country?
Sir,
or is he speaking about 26 days, 102
was the Home Minister wrong? Do you contradict the Home Minister's statement when the Home Minister said that Indian Muslims are standing by the government and Indian Muslims would not be influenced by ISIS? Does the Samajwadi Party
let this not be a slanging match. Let this not be a slanging match between the Samajwadi Party and the BJP, because you are rivals on the ground, and tomorrow is a crucial last phase of polling in Uttar Pradesh. But Sambit Patra, you're not coming to the point. You know, you and Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari are holding all the other panelists up. You have an important point to make. Make that point in the next 10 seconds. Otherwise, I have to go to my next panelist.
Exactly 10 seconds. I'll just take 10 seconds. The date is 23rd November 2012. Remember the UP government's decision to acquit the accused in the Banaras blast March 7, 2006. Do you know what the two judge bench, Justice R.K. Agarwal and Justice R.S.R. Maurya of Allahabad High Court said? I will just read out these two lines.
1857 Uttar Pradesh government did not act. What are you talking about? You are in power. Your Home Minister is campaigning. You have nothing to report. And you are holding a debate on this.
Ghanshyamji, you are an educated, erudite
speaker. Please do, because it's an important matter.
Some decorum. Ghanshyamji, I would not speak when you are speaking. Please allow me my 10 seconds and then you can rebut me. This is the way we should be debating. Let's not appear arrogant and frustrated. You are an extremely intelligent person.
Let us not
respect you. Allow me my 10 seconds.
Let us not use dated facts
Sir, I respect
to represent
Let's not fight over. Let me complete this 10 seconds. Let me just complete these 10 seconds. And this is what the Allahabad High Court had to say for Akhilesh's government. I quote, how can the government decide who is a terrorist? Is the government encouraging terrorism by taking steps to withdraw cases against accused persons? Today you are withdrawing cases against terrorists. Tomorrow you will confer Padma Bhushan to them.
So you are going on proving the fact. You are proving the fact. Dr. Sambit Patra, you are proving the fact that Netas will do anything for their vote banks. Even today when we are discussing terror operations in Lucknow, in Thakurganj, the only refrain we are getting from Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari is about votes. He's only obsessed about votes because there is the last phase of polling that's
a national government who is not serious. You can choose to not listen. But why don't you show to the viewers, for your viewers, what is the Home Minister tweeting about? Is he tweeting about security situation in the country? Or is he tweeting about votes?
Let me get in an unbiased opinion.
Well in advance.
Let me get an unbiased opinion. Let me get in RSN Singh Defence and Strategic Affairs expert RSN Singh. When you see governments like the Akhilesh Yadav government and the observation of the Allahabad High Court that was just read out by Dr. Sambit Patra, when you see statements like those made by Asaduddin Owaisi of the AIMIM, where he actually went out and said that all Muslim youths who are caught in these allegations of terror should be given legal, and I as a political party will give them legal help. Aren't these politicization of what should really remain strictly in the domain of national security? Are our Netas blurring the lines between politics and national security, much to the detriment and dangers that this country lives in?
Forget about political stance motivated by vote bank politics as far as terror is concerned. But let me tell you, today is a very, very important day because it concerns the safety of the passengers, people, one of the largest networks in the world. And if you map all the incidents that have taken place, it's a real threat. I think any of us could have been traveling on that, Patna Indore Express. I mean, why are they under attack? Can anybody in this country explain to me that why these hapless passengers, innocent passengers, are under attack? Is it for territory? Is it for Kashmir? I don't think so. It is because we belong to a particular religious, socio-cultural stock. That is why we are being targeted. If somebody else can tell me some other reason that we are being targeted, I am willing to correct myself. But the fact of the matter, it's a very important day, and what actually has happened is that a big threat has evolved from the Indo-Nepal border, where by chance or by accident, the superintendent of police there, Jitendra Rana, he interrogated one person, and yes, he laid bare the entire network, which is targeting causing sabotage, and yes, I knew that there are jihadi groups, involved in that, controlled by the Pakistani military intelligence establishment. But only today I have learned that some of these groups have mutated into the ISIS. And now this sabotage is being carried out in partnership with relapsed Maoists, with criminals. Yeah. Do you know two of them?
Saying two important points. Two important points that you brought up, and I'd like to go to Devdas and Irfan Hafeez Lone on that. Devdas, there's 2 points here. RSN Singh talks about the fact that these attacks that we are seeing and the number of sabotage of trains and rail tracks in the past few months have gone up alarmingly so. So we are looking perhaps at a new modus operandi, but what is most concerning perhaps is that unlike what is being seen in Europe, where you are largely seeing lone wolf attacks swearing allegiance to the ISIS, there is reason to believe that there is a module which is emerging across the length and breadth of this country, and there have been repeated suspects and arrests by the NIA which are showing clear links to the ISIS. Is this a threat that we can ignore anymore? Because this is not about lone wolves in India. This is about network and a proper structured module coming up in various parts of the country.
Well, the first thing that one needs to say is that it's very good that the person who is who has been surrounded today might be caught alive, because we can get a lot of information from interrogation. It's very important to do this because we need more information. We need to know what is happening. There is a very important thing that I want to say, that whatever happens with our politicians, the people of this country must stand together, must unite to face this threat, whatever threats there are, and there are very serious threats that we face across this country that we must face unitedly. We mustn't allow, whether it's politicians or media or anyone else who for whatever reasons might want to create divisions in whatever way. We mustn't allow that. The second thing we must guard against is fear. Because in fear and panic, things happen that can lead to even more terrible consequences. We have to guard against that.
Help either.
Please let us remember what happened in the US after 9/11. No, of course not. Of course not. Of course not. Not for a moment. I am not saying that anyone should deny anything. What I'm saying, what I'm urging with great fervor is that we face it unitedly and coolly, without getting very panicked. And in panic, things happen, things are done, reactions come about that only lead to more trouble. We do not want this to become a cycle, a vicious cycle of more and more terror, a situation created where from one act to another we create more enmity, more hatred and more recruits. The most important thing to guard against,
those are motherhood statements, Mr. David Devdas. Those are motherhood statements that we should not create alienation, we should not create hatred, we should not go after any particular sect.
Recruits. We do not want to help them get recruits.
Sure, but what about the modules that already exist? And let me get to Irfan Hafeez Lone. Irfan Hafeez Lone, when the former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, Omar Abdullah.
I'm very glad to see the kind of professional work that has happened today. Let me just say that
between the Madhya Pradesh government and the Uttar Pradesh police, yes, but let me get in Irfan Hafeez Lone. Irfan Hafeez Lone, when the former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, Omar Abdullah, actually goes up and denies. He denies every single word, and he says that even if some flags of ISIS appear in some parts of the valley, that we should ignore it because these are not ISIS. It's laughable that it's ISIS. Is he somehow underplaying the threat of ISIS? Are we facing to recognize also the problem before we actually talk about combating it? Are we even in a complete denial and delusion mode as far as the presence of the ISIS danger within the valley, within Roorkee, Chennai, Kerala, Maharashtra and other parts of the country are concerned?
See, Navika, if we are really very honest to fight the menace of this terror, then we should not link Kashmir problem with terrorism. We should not link religion with terror.
We're not doing that tonight. Irfan Hafeez Lone, just make your point, but to clarify, we are talking about this being a pan-India threat tonight. But we've asked you specific to Kashmir for a specific reason.
There are reasonable reasons.
No, allow him to conclude his point, please. Coming back to you, sir, but let Irfan Hafeez Lone conclude his point. But we're making it very clear. We're not linking it only to Kashmir tonight, Irfan Hafeez Lone.
We are talking about Roorkee, we are talking about Maharashtra, we are talking about Kerala, we are talking about Uttar Pradesh, where these people have been found today. So we are not linking it to Jammu and Kashmir at all.
Existence of ISIS, and if it at all exists, the hand of big powers can't be ruled out. You have seen in Afghanistan how America supported Taliban to counter Russia. So because
again you're coming forth with conspiracy theories which try to rationalize the birth of terror, which try to rationalize the birth of ISIS.
Can't be ruled out.
Irfan Hafeez Lone, no rationalization or conspiracy theory can actually
terror attacks. But please, for
you know that there were flags of ISIS raised in Kashmir as recently as last month,
and religion,
February this year. ISIS flags in Kashmir. Irfan, you tell me, is that a threat or not? Is that allegiance to terror or not?
About LTT, are you aware about how
Irfan, you talk about ISIS and the fact that there are ISIS flags in Kashmir being raised as recently as last month. Let's not go into LTT, which is the closed chapter. You answered the question about the clear and present danger, please.
Are you aware about
Are you going to ignore the threat of ISIS by talking about LTT?
The government is supporting going soft against the accused in Samjhota Express, in
Mr. Irfan Hafeez Lone, in my hand. Mr. Irfan Hafeez Lone, in my hand, I hold up the charge sheet that has been filed by the NIA. The NIA has filed this charge sheet, and what does this charge sheet say? It should be an eye-opener for some people like you who are in complete denial. The charge sheet says Emir of Jund ul Khalifa is Mohammed bin Yazdani. Yazdani brothers were caught in India. This is the charge sheet against them. And who do they follow? They follow Abu al-Bakr Baghdadi of the ISIS.
Navika, to this BJP
these are people against whom the NIA has submitted charge sheets. Irfan Hafeez Lone, can I ask you to pay attention to this instead of being in denial?
Bhindranwala. How they allowed this memorial in the name of Bhindranwala? If Bhindranwala is the terrorist for them, how they...
So what are you trying to say? What is the conclusion you're trying to arrive at? You know, when you talk of LTTE, when you talk of the BJP going soft on certain accused, when you talk about Bhindranwala, can you please tell us clearly what you're trying to point at? Because the subliminal messaging in between your lines is very clear, Irfan Hafeez Lone. You are trying to rationalize why youth might get into terror.
No, you're wrong. We condemn terror. We will support every possible effort of the government to counter the menace of terror. But if you connect it with the Kashmir problem, if you connect it with the religion, then you're not sincere. You're defeating every possible endeavor aimed to defeat the menace of terror.
Colonel RSN Singh wants to come in. Yes, Mr. RSN Singh. Mr. RSN Singh. Yes, Dr. Sambit Patra, before I come to you, Mr. RSN Singh, the question is...
Just a minute.
Mr. RSN Singh, let me just point this out. Let me just point this out. Last year, in June, 10 CRPF jawans and 2 terrorists were killed. In Kabul, 30 cadets were killed. In Istanbul, in July, 36 civilians were killed in a suicide attack. In Dhaka, 28 were killed in a terror attack. In Baghdad, 215 were killed. Did any European country or any Western country illuminate their cities in the colors of Iraq, Bangladesh or Afghanistan? The war on terror has different priorities for different countries. When there is an attack in Paris, we see a reflection going on. Everybody puts the French flag. My question is, are Western countries...
do you condemn terms, Mr. Lone, do you condemn terms like Lashkar, Mujahideen, Hizbul, Arhar, Jamaat, Taliban? Do you condemn jihad? Do you condemn these terms?
Or do you rationalize all of these? Irfan Hafeez Lone, straight question to you. Do you condemn any of these names? Lashkar, Jamaat-ul-Dawa, Lashkar-e-Toiba. Do you condemn any of these or do you rationalize this as well?
Hizbul, Jamaat, Arhar, Taliban, Mujahideen.
Do you condemn those who were responsible for
what does it signify
in Gujarat 2002? Do you condemn? Do you condemn those? What
about daily attacks? What about daily attacks, Irfan Hafeez Lone, in the state that you come from? What about daily attacks of terrorists coming from across the border? Every day civilians losing their lives, every day army jawans losing their lives. Do you even have problems in condemning the Lashkar-e-Toiba? Do you have problems in condemning Lashkar-e-Toiba? Jamaat-ul-Dawa?
No, he won't do it.
Madam,
he won't do it.
Madam, there is a saying. Vasudev Kutumbakam, which means whole.
What has that got to do with
family. This? So if in any part of world there
okay, so Lashkar-e-Toiba is your family, Dr. Sambit Patra. Irfan Hafeez Lone, Irfan Hafeez Lone, Dr. Sambit Patra, after virtually legitimizing, somehow or the other trying to legitimize terror activities, now says the whole world is a family, including Lashkar-e-Toiba. Can we allow such mindsets?
Mr. Sumit Patra's party is having double standards.
Please, I would request all of you not to
you are showing your double standards tonight, Irfan Hafeez Lone. You are showing your double standards. If you cannot even condemn Lashkar-e-Toiba and Indian Mujahideen or Jamaat-ul-Dawa, then you are showing what double standards you have.
To them.
Can I please?
To them, concert B and counter is not terror. To them, what
Sambit Patra, respond quickly, please, and then we bring in MH Khan and R Venkatesh.
Will you
Sambit
please stop shouting?
Okay, Irfan Hafeez Lone, please listen.
The terror of this shouting. Oh my God, Mr. Lone, will you please shout the terror? Please stop terrorizing our ears, please.
Yeah, he stopped, Sambit. Your point, please.
Well. Yeah, thank you. The point is, look, as far as Mr. Lone is concerned, we were discussing about Kashmir. Only a few days ago, the army chief minced no words to say that those who would wave the Pakistani flag, those who would wave the ISIS flag, and those who would thus act as the overground terror supporters will not be spared. They would be warned initially, but later we will go helter and skelter to teach them a lesson. These are the very people, including Mr. Lone and some Congress workers and some National Conference workers, who were in fact degrading the army chief's statement. They went to the extent of saying that the army chief probably has lost his mind, that he was using such kind of harsh word. Today the army chief has been proved right.
What about
that these kind of overground terror don't shout. Terror supporters should not be shouting. Don't shout.
All right, Sambit Patra and Irfan Hafeez Lone. You know, we are not going to bring this debate down to Kashmir, because that's not what it's about tonight. I'd like to go across to MH Khan and then R Venkatesh for the larger question that we are asking tonight. MH Khan, when you have political leaders across all political parties playing down the threat of ISIS, and we've seen this repeatedly over the last several years, now it is very clear that the NIA has unearthed some sort of modules that are sprouting in various parts of the country. Is this a threat that we need to wake up and smell the coffee on, MH Khan? Is ISIS spreading its wings in India? Is the footprint growing in India? And is this a reality that our political leaders need to acknowledge?
नहीं, देखिए, ये जो जितने भी आतंकी गतिविधियां होती है देश में, इसकी जिम्मेदारी किसकी है? इसको जिम्मेदारी पहले देखिए, इन्होंने कहा था कि हम नोटबंदी ले आए हैं और नोटबंदी में टेररिज्म खत्म हो जाएगा, नकली नोट नहीं छपेगी और हमारे सरहद पर जवानों की कुर्बानी नहीं होगी, हम एक की जगह 4 अफसर लाएंगे।
तो आपका क्या कहना है कि उसकी वजह से आप टेररिज्म का ब्लेम क्या सरकार पे डालेंगे? क्योंकि नोटबंदी का लिंक किया गया था विद टेरर फंडिंग, तो आप ये कह रहे कि ये सरकार जो किस पे जाता है?
मैं ब्लेम तो सरकार पे जाता है, जो सरकार चला रही है उस पे जाता है। किस पे जाएगा? जो अपोजिशन में बैठे उस पर थोड़ी जाएगा। जो सरकार चला रही है, जो दावा कर रही थी कि अगर हम नोटबंदी कर रहे हैं तो टेररिज्म खत्म हो जाएगी, ये नोटबंदी फेक करेंसी खत्म हो जाएगी, नकली नोट बाजार में आ गए, तो आप देखिए टेररिज्म का कहां खात्मा हुआ। आज भी हमारे जवान सरहद पर मारे जा रहे हैं। जी
खान साहब, आपको नोटबंदी से तकलीफ है, आपको टेररिज्म से तकलीफ है, आपको किस बात से तकलीफ है? आपको आपसे सवाल हमने ये पूछा कि क्या हमारे नेता जो हैं, क्या हमारे नेता जो हैं वो आईसिस के डेंजर को कम समझ रहे हैं? क्या उसको नजरअंदाज कर रहे हैं? क्या नजरअंदाज कर रहे हैं हमारे नेता जो आईसिस के डेंजर्स हैं, उसको नजरअंदाज कर रहे हैं क्या हमारे नेता? क्योंकि अखिलेश यादव कहते हैं कि जो प्रधानमंत्री ने कहा कि हमारे कानपुर अटैक में आईएसआई का हाथ था, अक्रॉस द बॉर्डर हाथ था, तो वो कहते हैं ऐसा कुछ नहीं था, प्रधानमंत्री झूठ बोल रहे हैं। क्या नेशनल सिक्योरिटी के मुद्दों पर हमें ऐसा नैरो पार्टी लाइन लेना चाहिए, या नेशनल सिक्योरिटी के मुद्दे पर सारी पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज को एकजुट होना चाहिए?
नहीं, सारी पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज को एकजुट होना चाहिए, लेकिन जुमलेबाजी नहीं करना चाहिए। देखिए, जब आप कहेंगे कि हम ये काम करने जा रहे हैं और इस काम से ये चीज रुकेगा, तो फिर जनता का सवाल आएगा बीच में ना कि हाँ आपने कहा था।
अच्छा, आप चलिए, आप नोटबंदी की बात छोड़िए, मिस्टर एमएच खान, आप कह रहे हैं कि नोटबंदी वाज नॉट सक्सेसफुल इन स्टॉपिंग टेरर। ठीक है, अगर हम आपकी बात मान भी लें कि नोटबंदी से टेरर नहीं रुका है, हम आपसे जो सवाल पूछ रहे हैं आप उसका जवाब दीजिए कि जो टेरर का थ्रेट है, जो आईसिस का थ्रेट है, क्या वो एक ऐसा थ्रेट है जो सारे पॉलिटिकल लीडर सेंट्रल एंड स्टेट लेवल उनको एक्नॉलेज करना चाहिए, और इस टेरर को किस तरीके से कॉम्बैट किया जाए उसके बारे में अब सोचना चाहिए? आप नोटबंदी की बात अब छोड़ दीजिए, हम आपका पॉइंट समझ चुके हैं।
जी नहीं, आप सही कह रही हैं कि सारे पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज को ये टेररिस्ट के बारे में बैठ के सोचना चाहिए, इसका सलूशन निकालना चाहिए। ये जिम्मेदारी जो सत्ता में बैठी पार्टी है उसकी है, चाहे उत्तर प्रदेश की हो, चाहे बिहार की हो, चाहे कहीं भी आतंकवादी गतिविधियां होती है,
तो सत्ता में अखिलेश यादव भी है चाहिए, और सत्ता में अखिलेश यादव भी है।
तो मैं तो कह रहा हूं,
सत्ता में अखिलेश यादव भी है। जब वो प्रधानमंत्री को कहते हैं कि प्रधानमंत्री झूठ बोल रहे हैं, तो क्या उन्हें ऐसा करना चाहिए?
नहीं, बिल्कुल उनको ये बातें उनके समझ में नहीं आई होंगी कि क्या कहना चाहिए, क्या नहीं कहना चाहिए। जब ये आतंकवादी गतिविधियां हो रही हैं तो उस पर तो सबको एक होना चाहिए, सबको इस पर इसका विरोध करना चाहिए। लेकिन आतंकवादी गतिविधियां कम होंगी इसकी गारंटी प्रधानमंत्री जी ने लिया था, इस पर भी चर्चा होनी चाहिए। और इस पर कोई एक बैठक नहीं हुई, आज तक कोई सर्वदलीय बैठक नहीं हुई कि आतंकवादी गतिविधियों में कैसे हम काबू पाया जा सके। एकदम से फैसला जो होता है,
there was no immediate, there was no sort of abracadabra that was promised that there will be some kind of instant magic and terror will be wiped out from the face of this nation. That kind of promise was not made. R Venkatesh, now is this really the problem? Because every single time we ask these questions, which are questions about national security, questions about terror, what we see is in fact blame game across political parties every single time.
Tina, just give me a couple of minutes. It's 9:42. I have been hearing this debate for 40 minutes. Just give me a couple of minutes. One, national unity must be non-negotiable. We must fight the issue or threat to national unity till the last bullet. Having said that, we must also recognize ISIS is a big threat that has come across from across the border from a pan-global presence. We may deny it, but ISIS says that it draws its ideological moorings from a particular interpretation of Quran. Now that is its impulse, its trigger. Now having said that, now come to India. Now they don't view not only non-Muslims as their opponents, they view even Muslims who don't toe their view or their interpretation of Islam as somebody who are opposed to them and hence have to be annihilated. Now what is happening in India is we are in complete denial in all these things. We believe that people who are coming or waging a war or indulging in ISIS activities, and I have no problem with ISIS, let us be very clear about it. ISIS can be tackled by our men in army, men in uniform, and they are eminently capable. But the champions for ISIS sit in the studio. Champions of ISIS sit in college universities. Champions of ISIS sit in the parliament. Champions of ISIS sit in the court and voice for human rights. Champions of ISIS sit in the press, write editorials and say that there is no threat of ISIS to this country. They are batting for ISIS with the specious hope that an attack on ISIS would be perceived by Indian Muslims as an attack on Indian Muslims, and hence that will be detrimental to their vote bank. How foolish can it be that you are saying that Muslims don't believe in unity and integrity of this country implicitly? Unfortunately, yesterday I was reading a Twitter post that a Muslim laid down his life for the integrity of this country in the border, fighting terrorists. So this type of nonsense must stop. Leaders must unite. Leaders must come about together. We must fight this terror. And I believe before annihilating ISIS, we must wage a war and first declare a war on all these pseudo people. These pseudos who are more dangerous than ISIS. Tina, these pseudos are more dangerous than ISIS. Let us be very clear about it. Let us be very clear that people in your own studios today are far more dangerous than ISIS because they put in a veneer, they put in a burqa of liberalism, they put in a burqa of secularism, they put in a burqa of championing human rights.
Do you now on national television today
ISIS and terrorists put together
actually want to apologize for the statements made from people in your party like Azam Khan when they say we condemn the Paris attack, we also condemn the attack on oil-bearing countries by America and Russia, Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria and Iran were destroyed in these attacks. Mr. Khan has said, he also says we should first see who killed the innocents first and who retaliated. Whoever kills innocent people, whether it's America or Russia or any group, is wrong. History will decide who is a terrorist and who is not. Do you support such statements? Do you support the statement made by Akhilesh Yadav calling the Prime Minister a liar on the issue of the Kanpur attack, when the Prime Minister says that this attack has its strings tied to across the border? The Prime Minister is speaking on the issue of national security. Will the Samajwadi Party apologize for statements that actually challenge national security at a time when we are living in a present and grave threat of terror attacks almost every single day in every part of the country?
I read somewhere today that in Varanasi a reporter asked a reporter asked somebody, "Can you stop your verbal diarrhea so that I can say something?" I read it somewhere that a reporter asked a person in Varanasi, "Who are you going to vote?" And that guy responded, "Dude, I am the union minister. I am not going to vote. I am here to campaign." The Prime Minister is using national tragedy in Kanpur to garner votes. Amit Shah from BJP, National President, is using Kasab to garner votes and making him a household
name. Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari, I'm appalled. I really don't know what kind of a mindset this is. I don't know what kind of a mindset this is, Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari. I'm asking you a question on terror. I'm asking you a question on combating terror. You are talking about votes. Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari, forget your obsession about votes. Votes will come every 5 years and go every 5 years.
Respond to fake accusations.
Sir, you are a terrorist, batting for a terrorist.
Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari, I asked you a direct question on whether our political class needs to come on a common platform on issues of national security. You respond every time, at the beginning of the program, at the end of the program, you respond every time by talking about votes. Your obsession with votes, your obsession with the current elections that are on in Uttar Pradesh is justified. But not at a time when we are discussing terror and the real and grave dangers of terror.
We are from verbal diarrhea to garner votes.
Oh yeah? And why were your references every time I asked you a question on terror were related to votes alone, Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari? Would you like to explain to our viewers?
Well, you can play this program again and look at the sincerity of the questions that were posed to me.
And say something. Why not? Why not? It was a very clear question, and it was a pointed question and the right question. Because you people back for terrorists, and you are not. You don't.
Sambit Patra is raising his hand.
I don't respond to verbal diarrhea.
Sambit Patra is raising his hand. Yes, Sambit Patra. Yes, Dr. Sambit Patra.
Arey, sir. You are simply doing all these things, championing for some other extraneous consideration. Admit it on national television.
So I'll just
try to keep you healthy, but don't engage in verbal diarrhea.
Ghanshyam, please.
All right, gentlemen. Sambit Patra is coming in now. Yes, Sambit.
Sir, if that is what you deserve, you deserve it.
Thank you.
Sambit Patra,
can I just
please
complete my 10 seconds? Number one. Well, look, we had this Paris attack, we had the European attacks. Do you all agree with the fact that after the Paris attack, the way the police out there moved, neutralized the terrorists, no single political party within France or within any European Union, in fact, raised a question. They didn't have any kind of debates about human rights, about political benefits and non-benefits. But irony is, we have Batla House encounter, and because we had an encounter in front of a home. I was reminded of the Batla House encounter in Delhi, and the way Sonia Gandhi cried, the way the politics was played over years over Batla House encounter.
Was the Home Minister tweeting about election campaigns when the Paris attack happened?
Mr. Ghanshyam, no verbal diarrhea. Stop the verbal diarrhea. Please stop the verbal diarrhea. Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari.
You talk about the Batla House encounter, and I must point out to our panelists and to our viewers tonight why this ISIS threat may just be a very real one. Let me remind you all that on May 19, 2016, the ISIS released a major video campaign against India, specifically, in which about half a dozen fugitive Indian Muslims threatened to wage jihad against the country. Absolutely. And one of those was reported to be one of the fugitives from the Batla House incident. So the point is, this is a real danger. And just before we wrap up, I would like to point out, one second, Sambit, I want to point out how many instances there have been in the past, recent past. In Jan 2017, NIA claimed a Maharashtra resident had been deported from the UAE due to links with ISIS. I've already talked about the May 19, 2016 video. On June 29 last year, 11 persons believed to be affiliates of the ISIS were arrested in Hyderabad by the NIA. In January 2016, the NIA picked up 14 people across the country in a terror crackdown, which many of you will remember. And very chillingly so, a lot of these people were in fact not just educated, but engineers and people from upper middle class families.
That's right. And Sambit Patra, 5 seconds to complete your point, because I also have the NIA charge sheet and there are chilling facts that the charge sheet really puts out. Yes, Dr. Sambit Patra.
No, all I want to say within this 5 seconds is You may garner some votes, Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari, but without the country's national security, what would you do of these votes is my question. What would you do of a victory if the country does not exist? For God's sake, put the country, please, no verbal diarrhea.
You had 5 seconds
no
to
verbal
say
diarrhea,
the truth. Please do.
Mr. Ghanshyam Tiwari, no verbal diarrhea.
Okay, gentlemen, since it's an obsession with votes that the Samajwadi Party is afflicted by, the question really is that the Emir of Jund ul Khalifa is Mohammad Ibrahim Yazdani, and he had got 11 men recruited in his team. Now 4 of these have turned witnesses to the NIA, and these are going to give the plot of what was being described by the ISIs as the Indian plot for the ISIS to strike India. Will our agencies like the NIA get more such modules? Is the UP terror plot, is the Lucknow terror ops going to yield live evidence to us through the terrorists who still hold up in that house in Thakurganj? Will we have more details of what to go by when it is the ISIS threat? And will our Netas finally come on a common platform to talk the simple and similar language on issues of national security and national importance? That's what we continue to wait for. For now, we'll thank all our panelists for joining Tina and me on debate number 1. We'll take a short break, but the UP elections and the real vote machine that's going on will come up next with Anand and Tanvi. Stay tuned, don't go away.